style.
Yeah, I think it was just because of how, again, the team's position, wherein I think that was, you know, the Mexican stand-up between Maximus Alpha as well as RIP officials, and then there was a third party, Slay, who actually tried to push aggressively. They made a huge mistake. They went up against Ninja. Ninja went ham, and then it all just, you know, went into their hands. Even though RIP official didn't get the highest of standings or of ranks, they still got a lot in terms of those kills.
It was basically a glorious moment. Ninja, very much less like a ninja and more like Rambo, just coming in, guns blazing, is like yippee-ki-yay, and takes everybody out. So that's the kind of moments we're looking for. So definitely a worthy MVP play for him. But in the meantime, of course, we want to talk about how these teams will fare. So let's take a second to show up how these teams are doing. So 500 points for the winner. Let's take a look at the point system in just a second. But obviously, before we get into... Oh, there we are. Yeah, we're just waiting for it. So here we are, the standings. We've been waiting for this today. It's BSUD sitting at 140. What do you think of these standings so far? Squad 99, unfortunately.
I think Oxygen Alpha is one that kind of surprises me, being down at 12th place after round 1. That's a team that you'd be expected to be up at the top. Also, Dreamers down at 19. Yeah. Really where I think nobody expected the Dreamers to be at this point in the tournament.
This is definitely not what we were looking to see. I mean, 3 of the teams are at the bottom, the Punishers, Dreamers, and, you know, way at the bottom. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, of course, Seoul sitting pretty at 500 points, but now they actually got 760 because they got 13 kills as a squad. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not messing around here.
Not messing around, just pulling or just throwing out their punches. It is insane. I think a reason why we're seeing such a kind of a wild card in terms of our points here is just everyone is just looking out to get you. Yeah. So if you misstep even once, they will take not an inch, but a mile off of you. And the only team who was able to never really give an inch was Seoul.
Yeah, think about this. The way that they're playing, the methods, they're absolutely perfect. And because of that, they're so ahead that they're actually more than 200 points up on the second placers. Everybody else is sitting close. They're in contention for the top 2 place. But at the moment, the way it stands, Team Seoul is way above everybody else, 210 10 points above.
Well, if you look at the playoffs and how they got here, not only did they have more kills than any other squad, they came in with 80 kills through 3 rounds in the playoffs. They also were getting chicken dinners in all of those matches as well. So it's just absolutely impressive. And I would not expect them to slow down moving forward. That's only a confidence booster for them, which is really scary for everybody else on that stage right now.
Yeah, everybody else on stage must be shaking in their boots because when Team Seoul is looking this good, it's really quite a sight to behold here. But of course, let's talk a little bit more about the players themselves, as we do have the top 10 players coming up on your screen. So sitting at the top 10 right now, Ninja, of course, with the 6 kills. Mortal sitting at 5, Buttman Rapid sitting at 4, and of course Arrow at 3, God's Reigns, Manu is at 3, Shroudy's at 3, Omega's at 3, Viper and Rebel is also at 2.
Yeah, Rebel coming down at 2. I'm not really surprised to how this is all shaking out thus far. I just got to say, I mentioned it earlier, but Mortal throwing that nade in, getting 2 kills with 1 nade, that's one way to pad your stats. And I think we heard the whole crowd just explode in that
textbook
moment.
I mean, it didn't even hesitate. The grenade itself just perfectly.
I think we could all read it. Like the moment he threw it, you were like, yeah, that's going to be good.
Yeah, it was. We already know what was up.
And more than the throw, it was the way that the amount of time that he cocked it. Like he held it for the perfect amount of time for it to explode right at their feet. So absolute, not just precision, but also accuracy from that throw. Absolutely beautiful. And that's got to be one of the highlights for the tournament, definitely.
All right, so something I kind of want to bring it out there. Even though we have such a great standing already for Seoul here, we are still, playing a competitive game of PUBG Mobile, and it's because of that I feel like we still haven't really seen any of these teams shine just yet. And something that also I want to point out is that the next map, I believe, is going to be Sandhawk. So it's going to be more tight-knit. That more teams will probably make mistakes. And I think a lot of these teams are hoping that Seoul makes a huge mistake and then they get straight out. So I'm looking forward to just keeping my eye on them once we drop onto that particular map and seeing if they're going to be able to, to adjust to it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, we've also taken a minute, speaking of people that they don't want to play against, we actually took a moment to ask players of who they don't want to go up against, the most feared team. Take a look at this.
Okay. The team we fear the most.
The teams which we look after.
One of the teams which can give us tough competition is Team FireFrost.
एक ऑक्सीजन अल्फा करके कोई टीम है, उनकी स्ट्रेटेजी बहुत ज़्यादा सही है. मतलब अगर वो जोन के बाहर भी है ना, तो जोन के अंदर वाली टीम को भी इजीली टेक डाउन कर रहे हैं, आराम से, मतलब बहुत ही इजीली.
Basically, Soul, Oxy.
हमारी टीम को सोल ही लगती है क्योंकि सेमीफाइनल देखो ना आप, पहले राउंड में सोल ने मारा, दूसरे राउंड में वापस सोल ने मारा, तीसरे राउंड में वापस सोल ने मारा.
तो अभी इस बार बदला लेना है, दो के मारना है, उनको ही ढूंढना है मैप पे कहाँ पे है और उनको ही पेलना है बस.
The teams which are, you know, gonna give us a good competition are the teams which have experience. They have been playing and performing well in previous tournaments.
There's no such team in particular, but if we want a team to get out first, or we don't want to have a fight with them, is Oxygen Alpha because of their aggressiveness.
We don't fear anyone, no one. We fear only ourselves. We fear our coordination. We want our coordination to be perfect.
हर किसी की अपनी खुद की एक स्ट्रेटेजी होगी, तो उनको लाइक डिफीट करना हमारे लिए इतना इजी नहीं होगा.
2000 टीम में से 20 रैंक निकालना हार्ड है भाई, बहुत हार्ड है.
Well, I don't know about the most feared team, but I would like to face the Beast Squad.
पर्सनली मैं तो किसी से फेयर नहीं करता हूँ, लेकिन मुझे इतना पता है कि टफ टीम्स है.
Teams like NHD and God's Reign.
इस टाइम यहाँ पे बहुत हार्ड होने वाला है हमारे लिए.
सभी टीम सेम है, मतलब सभी टीम अच्छी है, सबसे फेयर है और सभी से कम्बैट करने हैं.
And we're not overconfident about it, but we are confident that we can win this tournament.
हमें नहीं लगता कोई ऐसा टीम है कि हमें आके मार जाए आसानी से और ट्रॉफी उठा के ले जाए, वो हमें नहीं लगता है.
Let's not talk about it any further because the players themselves have said it, and you know we don't want to talk about redundantly how afraid they are of going up against players like Team Seoul or the Dreamers. But speaking of the Dreamers, they are going to be the players, the team to watch out for, as we are going to be going into Sandhawk, a map that is so inherently aggressive in its nature that you have to fight. So aggressive players and aggressive teams will start to shine here.
Yeah, they will, and actually, I think it's so interesting because all of these teams really define themselves as aggressive, especially the Dreamers, as you said. Now, the Dreamers find themselves in an interesting position because they get knocked out so early in round one. It puts pressure on them to really start to perform in these coming rounds. And that pressure can really do a lot to your mentality, almost actually forcing mistakes from some teams in these kind of moments.
Yeah, they realize at some point, okay, this is when we have to shine. This is what we got to do. And that might just change their playstyle. Unfortunately, that might not be the best thing for them at this point.
It's going to be scary for a lot of the teams who, well, like you guys already said, are placed around the bottom percentage of these total 20s. But in any case, something I also want to point out, since we are going to Sandhawk, I also asked these teams which map they preferred. 19 out of 20 answered Erangel, and one team said Sandhawk, and that team is God's Reign. So
God's Reign.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to be looking out for them. Hopefully, they can bring the thunder and take it back from Seoul, who did actually manage to come out of that on top. But we're going to be doing that when we come back from our break. So stay tuned. When we get back, it's going to be the second game of the series for one more time before we get into the break. I'm Illustrado. This is Humanist, and this is Asteroid. We're your hosts, and we'll be back in a second.